All right, guys, it's Mrs. Stewart again, back with another short video on the documents. And today we're going to be talking about the Virginia Declaration of Rights. So the Virginia Declaration of Rights was written by George Mason. It was adopted by the Virginia colony in 1776. This happened before the Declaration of Independence, though. And in the Virginia Declaration of Rights, he wrote that all men are by nature equally free and independent and have certain rights. So we've heard that phrase before. Can you guys think of where we've heard that phrase before? And it's actually a little bit different. It's all men are created equal and have certain inherent rights. So that was written in the Declaration of Independence. In fact, when Thomas Jefferson wrote the Declaration of Independence, he was very good friends with George Mason and really loved his ideals. And so a lot of the ideals that we find in the Declaration of Independence were actually influenced by the Virginia Declaration of Rights and were included in the Declaration of Independence. Another term that we have heard before is enjoyment of life, liberty, with the means of acquiring and possessing property and pursuing and obtaining happiness and safety. Where have we heard that? Yeah, you're right. The Declaration of Independence. So life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness is how it was termed by Thomas Jefferson. Guys, if plagiarism was a thing back then, he would have definitely had plagiarized, because those are almost word for word exactly the same sentiments that George Mason had. So in addition to not only inspiring those sentiments from the Declaration of, in the Declaration of Independence, it also created the idea, the Virginia Declaration of Rights created the idea of freedom of press. So we had, for example, now it would be newspaper, internet, TV, etc. Back then, press would literally have meant like the news, the newspaper, maybe flyers, things like that. And then also it gave them freedom of religion. And we know why that was so important to the colonists, because they didn't have that freedom in England. And what the Virginia Declaration of Rights said was that the government would make no, how is it worded? They would make no decision on the implementation of a state religion. So that meant, basically what that means is that they would not mandate that you follow a particular religion. And then it stated that rights can't be taken away except by law. So what is that? What are those steps that need to happen when someone is accused of a crime? Due process. So we see the ideas of due process in the Virginia Declaration of Rights as well. So those were significant pieces of not only the Declaration of Independence, but also inspiring the Constitution and the Bill of Rights specifically. In fact, a really interesting thing is that the Virginia Declaration of Independence really was the model for the Bill of Rights. And normally in class, we would do a side-by-side comparison of the Bill of Rights and the Virginia Declaration of Rights. And guys, the Bill of Rights almost like completely plagiarizes off of Virginia Declaration of Rights. There are many sections that match up with the specific sections in Bill of Rights. And then sometimes the wording is verbatim, which means that it's like it matches word for word. So it's very interesting to see just how much these earlier documents really did shape our current government. And then, of course, we talked about how those earlier statements, the inherent rights, and then your right to life, liberty, and property were influenced in the opening paragraphs of the Declaration of Independence. So let's go ahead and let's do a quick quiz and see how you do. This document served as a model for the first 10 amendments of the U.S. Constitution. That is the Virginia Declaration of Rights. Who was the principal author of the Virginia Declaration of Rights? Mr. George Mason. Very good. And that is the last one. All right, guys. So if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out to me. Otherwise, I will see you next time.